Okay, rebuttals may begin with nationalism.
Alright, let's quickly recap what militarism stated. Ava, you stated that building military forces was the driving cause of military, and that's what caused the war because there was such a growth in military. Well, I hope you realize that military growth was a form of nationalism. It was almost like an offspring. Because countries were so nationalistic, they wanted that power, and hence there was such a high demand for military, and hence there was such a good supply of military people as well. Ronak stated as well that we literally had no soldiers. We needed soldiers, yet every single country in the World War did get those people. That's because of nationalism. People were willing to give their life on the line because of nationalism. Marcus, you said that alliances are formed. If alliances were formed, then nationalism is practically pointless, because if you're so nationalistic, you shouldn't have alliances. That's not true. Economy. You make alliances because you have an economy and you want to grow, you have that grow, and hence nationalist countries did make alliances. And Jason finally said making country powerful was the goal of nationalism. When you build your military, your country becomes more powerful. But once again, just like Ava, you build your military because of nationalism, and that's the cause. Let's start by debunking imperialism as well. Bryn, you gave that lovely analogy about how I had a neighborhood and I'm going to fight on the border. But
Audience?
yeah, but let's get serious. Freddie, you stated that the declaration of war started imperialism, but I hope you know that the declaration was in fact nationalism that started. You said that because of all the imperialism colonies that were there, the alliances had to take into place, and then that started World War I. I mean, Jaslyn, you had a nice point about how Bosnia and Herzegovina had that influence in territory, and how that territory got the Serbs angry, and that's what killed Archduke Franz Ferdinand. But that territory was nationalistic growth in the country, and that's what caused World War I, a nationalist territory. And fine, can I get 30 more seconds?
5 seconds.
30 more seconds.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Alliances.
Presentation.
I didn't rebuttal alliances.
We're going on to militarism.
That was
Except you put words in my mouth. No, you did say that. No, I promise I wrote it when you said it. Okay.
Last time you said you were scared when you went out. How do you remember?
Right.
Please give our silent, courteous attention to our classmates. Be respectful of their points. Jason, you may begin.
Okay. Militarism isn't just the use of weapons pre-war. The definition of militarism is the belief that a country should maintain a strong military capability and be prepared to use it aggressively to defend and promote national interests. Without this belief, people of countries wouldn't have believed that they needed to join the army to help out their country. Nationalism in the form of propaganda wouldn't work without militarism. Pure patriotism doesn't make soldiers enlist into the army. It's the belief that they'll join and win. This mindset was due to militarism, because soldiers were under the mindset that their country's strong army would guarantee their victory in war. Alliances were formed pre-war due to militarism, due to the belief that a stronger army would determine success when defending and fighting for one's country. Nationalism and imperialism were present pre-war because of militarism, because of the belief that a bigger army would determine success in war. In a poem written by W.N. Hodgson on the day of the Battle of Somme, which was June 29, 1916, this poem gives insight towards the mindset that soldiers had back then. Hodgson writes, "By all the days that I have lived, make me a soldier, Lord. By all of man's hopes and fears, and all the wonders poets sing, by all his mad catastrophes, make me a man, O Lord." Hodgson wrote this poem based off of what he was taught at school about war, about how great war was and how it was an honor to fight. This shows how militarism romanticized war. Without militarism glorifying war as something heroic and adventurous, people would have just sat out. They wouldn't have thought that war was the solution to everything. Not everyone would have been as willing to fight. And remember, at the time, people thought that the war was going to end in a few months. They would have had the mindset of, why bother fighting when it'll soon be over? However, they didn't have this mindset because of militarism, because everyone was under the belief that a country should maintain a strong military and be prepared to use it aggressively to defend and promote national interests.
Okay. 3 seconds to spare, FYI. Good job. Good budget of timing, right?
She had everything going.
Okay.
Countries.
Yeah, being you.
Oh, I wanted to do this one.
God.
Okay, Ming Yu, you may begin.
Dear speakers of the militarism proposition, I sincerely appreciate your effort to try to come up with a reasonable and decent argument. However, the argument you've put up is like a SpongeBob. Holes after holes after holes after holes after holes. Firstly, Marcus stated that Austria-Hungary didn't ask help from Germany because their ideas aligned. It was because Germany's military power was significant. That is factually incorrect, Marcus. Maybe you should have researched before you came into debate. In actuality, because Austria-Hungary has been building connection with Germany since 1882, and the two major alliances of Europe, the Triple Entente and the Triple Alliances, was directly and explicitly set up against one another, not that one is stronger or whatsoever, and countries asking help from another strong country. Marcus's argument would resemble something like India asking help from its moral enemy Pakistan to fight against its closer ally USA, which would obviously be nonsense, which is not going to happen in a million years. And also, another speaker in their proposition, Ronak, stated that military is what wins the war because the presence of the strong military is crucial in the war. That is completely correct. No nation is foolish enough to enter a war on such a great scale without ample military suppliances. However, the reason why military spendings was significant increase was because of alliances in the first place. And because the tension alliances built throughout Europe, that is why a nation felt like there was a need to increase the military spendings, which would be to cope against the tensions built up by the alliances. And finally, to Ryan, the speaker of the Nationalist Party, well, he stated that nationalism is what stalled the war for so long. That is completely not true. Because if once a nation goes into war, especially a war on such a great scale,
You need to pause there.
Ming Yu. That is factually incorrect. BBC alongside Britannica.
if a country goes into war, you can't.
The audience is instructed to disregard.
Ryan, you don't want to get into it.
Can I just
All
back
right.
you completely?
Thank you, thank you.
I was basically
Ming Yu,
for a minute
going
30.
to imperialism for the last 2 minutes. What? Imperialism.
Literally a total of hell out of it.
I don't want to watch it.
Okay, audience, please. Time is limited. Last speaker for today, representing imperialism.
Let me just have a timer because I sometimes get lost.
Okay.
But you have every right to
Rin, you may begin.
Okay, so firstly, a lot of you guys left us out. Like, you mainly focused on attacking them, and you mainly focused on attacking them and them. So, I'm thinking you just don't think we matter at this point.
You're right.
Which is completely untrue. And yes, to some people, when you look at World War I, they judge the book by its cover and see alliances, militarism, and nationalism and think, oh, these must be the main causes. But really, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. You need to go into that book and you'll find that indeed imperialism is the driving route pushing all these things. Yes, alliances, the Triple Entente, the Central Powers or whatever it was at the time. Did you know that the French and British alliances actually stemmed from the African scramble thing in the continent of Africa during the colonial thing? You know, it's a true fact actually. They both turned up, recognised their spheres of influence, and decided, well, they almost fought, then they, became democratic, diplomatic, that's the word, and decided to defuse the situation. Then they had an alliance, and that then led into World War I. So that just shows that imperialism, the scramble for these colonies, for financial benefits and stuff like that, was indeed actually the cause for those alliances. And yeah, okay, my analogy wasn't correct, but you mainly focused on this misdefinition or some unresearched fact. And then people were attacking Marcus for some reason.
Thank you.
Which is completely beneficial to my cause. Anyway, my point being is he didn't do much research. My point being is, what's your group again? Yeah, militarism. yes, militarism big and they built up a lot. But the point is, the reason they built up those navies and the military is because they wanted to expand their empire. They didn't build up the military so they could then expand their empire. They expanded their empire, and in the process of doing that, decided to build up their militaries. So really, all of you have just completely overlooked imperialism. I've debunked the majority of stuff here, and I think I'm done. I mean, you two attacked us. You had like 2 key points. We've talked about that.
You've just stated that I said some unsatisfactory fact, and you didn't
And the
My
alliances
timer's
were just
not
stupid.
rotating, but it's
Oh,
time.
actually, I was 30 seconds in.
We won rugby.
We were 30 seconds over.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Ratner.
Mr. Ratner.
My timer didn't start.
David
but I'm trying to time it
Ratner.
off.
Okay.
Unfair, I think.
I wanted
30 seconds.
Wow. Well, okay. So, can we get 30 seconds on the spot?
Yeah,
No.
30 seconds, come on.
I
So-
object.
First of all,
Can I
I want to
die?
say,
Closing statements.
remember that it was formative. You guys, you're in good shape, and I'm excited and looking forward to the summative, because it's only going to get better when we do this in a few weeks down the line. We will be doing a summative
Oh God.
as well. But I love the enthusiasm, the energy. Generally speaking, the preparation was thoughtful, and I'm sure we can get better. But and I'll share the rubrics with you next class. Terrific stuff, and the truth is, and I'm sure you realize this, is that it's not one or the other. It's all of them in combination.
Do we all get chocolates?
It's a little from column M, a little from column N, a little from column A, and a little from column
Mostly
I, and a little from column
Mostly I.
assassination,
Mostly I.
right?
It's so bad.
For the purposes of today's debate only, sadly we can only choose one winner.
And that is.
Just like give it to like
It's gonna just get with them and you.
And I mean, really, it's not fair because it was impossible to judge, and you guys really made some excellent points. I was very impressed. Today's winner is nationalism.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Oh, sorry, that's all the time we have. It was so great. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Have a great CNY.